That's great. 4 words. And you nailed them. Am I right?
Yeah, no, you're good.
What is Africa? Is it the wildlife, the beautiful coasts, thriving cities? It is more than that. It is the people. Our 55 countries have many things in common. Our cultures bind us together. They give us strength and identity. They make us proud. By sharing our knowledge and working together, we're building a new Africa that's driven by investments, by game-changing infrastructure projects, and using transformative technology to change the way we live, work, and conduct business. Using our largest natural resource, our vast arable land, we are making advances in agriculture, developing new industries, creating jobs, and improving livelihoods. Together, we are moving forward on economic integration. By consolidating Africa's significant internal market to foster trade within the continent and with the world, Africa is open for business. We are building the Africa we want. So, what is the continent of the future? The answer is Africa.
This is not business as usual. No regular day of the week. There'll be no fighting the snooze button and getting ready for work. This will be something else. A country closed for travel, and so closed for business. But just you wait until we can travel again. Boy, are we going to travel. Long breaks and short getaways to B&Bs, lodges and hotels, girls' trips and getaways na Mazhetese. Tshehla, we'll be reintroducing ourselves to South Africa again. To her beautiful people and places. We'll be traveling to go see my lady Ekai. Stopping here and there along the way. We'll be exploring like never before because we'll know what it's like not to be able to. There's nowhere we won't go. Imagine what's happening visiting a farm called Helixpan. Warian deep in a kankasi, but we'll do it all. We'll invest in our country right from our own pockets, making bookings here and reservations there, and getting people back to work again. But for now, stay home, stay safe, knowing that Sajiga manj.
Ghana is a beautiful country. There is so much of it you probably haven't seen, haven't experienced, haven't touched, haven't felt, haven't eaten. When this is all over, let's discover our land again with new eyes. Let's feel each other again. We are one people, brought together by destiny. Let's make that count. Let's show love for each other and our environment. Let's tell our stories, and let's watch and listen to our stories. There will be so much to tell. Ghana is a truly beautiful country. Be Ghana, stay in Ghana, experience Ghana, make Ghana great. And we will invite the world to come and experience Ghana too. But for now, stay home. Brought to you by the National Film Authority.
Borders or not. Because they were supposed to reopen the borders on Sunday, that was supposed to arrive on Monday. And now they're saying they might extend it by 2 weeks. So if they do, then yes, I'm here for another 2 weeks. And if they don't, Then I go back on Monday. So at the moment, I have no idea.
Does that mean you could be spending the next 2 weeks prospecting trials?
Is it good enough? I don't make a mail.
Anyway,
I don't make a change.
Yeah, that's true.
So you remember you bring it in.
Share networks and go.
Let's sit this out of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can take it out. Your slot is. Wait, is this microphone on? No, we live. Okay, cool.
Good morning, Sani Bonani, Dumelang, Dumachironi, and welcome to the Small Business Summit. I'm greeting you all the way from South Africa during what we call a level 3 lockdown, and I hope you are safe wherever in the world you may be. So my name is Puchunia Gaballo, and it is an honor and gives me great pleasure for me to then be here to introduce to you the 2021 Small Business Summit. This is a professional services edition. It is a Digitized South Africa initiative brought to you by Helplink Africa in collaboration with Digital Foundation Africa. So, a little bit about myself. I'm the Business Development Director of Helplink Africa, and we are the leading small business management software system company that is powered by the vcita technology. We came together in collaboration with one thing in mind, and that was to accelerate the digitization evolution with small businesses in the lead. So let's get into the crux of why are we here today. As you are all too aware, we are in the midst of a crisis like no other. That is the global pandemic called COVID-19. This COVID-19, along with the lockdown regulations that we have all been going through, has killed so many small businesses, and it's in the process of eradicating so many others. So we have come in together and realized that for businesses to stay alive and to thrive in this climate, digitization is a need right now and not a thing for later. So we took it upon ourselves to put together an exceptional panelist who are coming to come here and discuss a few topics that will address this accentuated economic crisis that we have in this country. So these are the topics that we're going to be looking at. Financial inclusion, especially for professional service SMEs. Number 2, establishing and maintaining functional business practices. Number 3, retaining customers and generating leads. And lastly, but not least, the what next. So without any further ado, we're going to go right straight into the panel discussion and to our host, Kuda.
And we have the Chief Vision Officer of the Digital Foundation Africa, who is joining us all the way from Ghana. His name is Foster Coffee Sam. He is also the founding partner of Africa Digital Festival and Digital Foundation Africa, which basically is an organization spanning over 50 different countries. And without preempting a lot of who Foster is, I'm going to invite him to the stage right now, just so he can give a brief introduction of this whole summit and the status of small businesses in terms of digital. Foster, how are you doing?
Good. Thank you very much. I'm doing well. Thank you for putting together this event, and thank you for the speakers as well, Abeeku and Jacoline, and the rest of the people who are supposed to be part of this event. So the purpose of the Small Business Summit is basically to introduce digital tools as well as make small business owners understand the reason why they have to go digital. And so the Digital Foundation Africa, through events, which is the Africa Digital Festival, started to put together this small business summit, even though it was supposed to be a physical event, but unfortunately, coronavirus and the lockdown in South Africa decided to make us go digital as our event says. And so the purpose of these events is basically to help businesses and business owners understand and know what kind of tools they have to use whilst they are online to maximize profits. And so I'll urge everybody who's connecting via online, whether YouTube, Facebook, and at the same time here, to pay really attention to the speakers and what they are going to say, so that by the time they finish, they know what exactly and how best they can leverage on digital tools and other digital processes to achieve as well as maximize their profit. And so thank you very much, Kuda. And this is the first edition, and I'm sure this is more of this is going to be part of the series that we're going to put together for Digitize Africa, which the whole plan is to explore ecosystem across some African countries. And so South Africa being part of it, let's start with the Small Business Summit. And thank you very much, Kuda. Please take over.
All right. So we are back now. Are we back now? So thank you, Foster, for that. As you can see, we've got two other people on board, and we have our live guests. We have Jacqueline Wenzel, who's joining us from Cape Town, South Africa. Hello, Jacqueline.
Sorry, hi there.
How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Just a little hot.
Oh, is it hot in Cape Town?
Like 45 degrees or something stupid today. So.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, it's raining in Johannesburg.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And we have Abeeku Mensah, all the way from Ghana. How are you, Abeeku?
Hello, everyone. How are you all doing?
Thank you for joining. And then, just to give you a brief background, we also have our own technical partners from vcita, and pretty much we've worked together with Africa Digital Festival and Digital Foundation to come up with this. But we have the Chief Marketing Officer of vcita. How are you doing?
I'm very good, and I'm very, very happy to be here.
Thank you. And then next to Aji, you can see the handsome fellow who is taking my shine now. we have Lesiba Tshehla from the South Africa Freelancers Association. How are you, Lesiba?
I'm doing very well, thanks, and it's an honor to be here. I feel honored and thankful to be representing South Africa today.
Thank you. So without further ado, we are going to jump
Kuda, you have frozen, so we can't see you.
I believe Kuda is having some internet issues. So as soon as he comes back, they will take over. So Kuda, if you can hear me, if you are back.
Mm-mm.
Jacqueline, looks like we've lost the entire South African team.
Yeah, it looks like it, hey?
Probably having some very serious technical challenges over there.
I can see
I think so. I think they are having problems with their internet, but yeah. So I'll definitely take it over. Then when they come, they'll push it forward. So, Jacqueline, if you don't mind, I think you can just take over and have your talk, and from there, by the time that you finish, they will be on board.
Sure, no problem. Hi, everybody. I am Jacqueline Benzel. I am the chair lady for the South African chapter of the Spa and Wellness Association in Africa. I'm based in Cape Town in South Africa, and I think the reason why I am on this panel this morning is because our industry is made up of mostly small businesses. Throughout Africa, we've seen small businesses over the last few years take a strain. So one of the questions that was asked to me was, how technology is going to work in our businesses. Our spa and wellness industry is a touch industry. We are experts in touch. We understand wellness, which is usually digital detoxing. And now the world, and because of this pandemic, the world has changed so much that we've had to rely on technology to be able to communicate with our clients and sort of keep ourselves in the eye of the client. And it's been a challenge. Our industry it's been a very difficult transition for us because our industry, we are experts in touch. We understand one-on-one communication with our clients. We deal with consulting with them, very much in a hands-on way. And all of a sudden, we're being told to Zoom and Skype and whatever other technologies there are on board. And we're not experts in that. So it has been a challenge for our industry to transition to being more digital. And I think the other thing that our industry has suffered with is who to trust. We're experts in one field, and that there's so many people out there that's actually come on board as technology experts. And so who do we trust? As a small business, we are reliant on every single cent that comes in. And so and our industry's margins are really small. People always think we make huge amounts of money with spas and salons and so on, but we actually don't. Our margins are very small. We've got a very high staff bill because it's technically orientated staff that has been studying for years to be able to work in our industry. And so we have to pay them properly. And to be able to pay them properly, it means our profit margins are quite low. And because of that, we don't have millions like these big corporations to spend on marketing. We don't have big millions to spend on technology. Technology is our, I would say, our sideline, if you want to call it that, because there's even still some salons that make physical bookings in a book, in a diary every day. So I think that thing what we've all relied on in the last few weeks and months and years since this pandemic is obviously free platforms like social media and WhatsApp business and those type of things, because that's all we know. And it's all that at this stage we can afford, probably, because survival is the game at the moment.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline. And you gave a perfect background of the status of small businesses with regards to the economy in South Africa. And whilst we are on the status of small businesses, I'm just going to bring it to Sapphire just before we lost you guys on the transmission, because we are truly live. We are not pre-recorded. We are truly live. Just before we lost you in the...
There you go again. It seems we've lost them again. Okay, let me carry on with my questions. Seeing that it looks like I'm actually on there. Oh, there we go. Here's a back. Kuda, we lost you there for a while, so we've got no idea. So you're live now again.
Okay. Yes, this live feed is going to be such a bummer.
No stress. No stress.
Well, at least
welcome to the modern world.
We get to experience the same problems that small businesses experience, maybe in a different way, but but yeah, please, Lesiba, please give us another dive into the status of freelancers when it comes to digitization.
So as indicated, when it comes to digitalizations, it's the platforms are there. I would say they are not enough. However, we still have challenges as freelancers in the sense that I've indicated aspects such as affordability and network coverage, and also electricity challenges. You find that I have to meet with a client at this particular time to discuss a brief. At that time, my network coverage gets to be poor, or electricity cuts off, and that's how it becomes very challenging and tricky, or it becomes a barrier or a problem when it comes to digital world and platforms. And also the affordability of data, it's also something else, in the sense that many small businesses or many freelancers cannot afford that too much expensive bundles. You find that the cheaper bundles packages are with poor coverages at certain areas. So the digitalization works well in the CBDs, and that is where the issue of competition comes in, to say those who are in the CBDs, freelancers who are located in the central business districts, are the ones doing the most when compared to others in the other parts of the country.
But okay, so we're seeing an infrastructure problem, and we understand that it comes from a government level. And what this digitization has allowed is, when a freelancer has access to internet, let's just say for 2 hours they go to an internet cafe, like most would do, and they have access to service their client, whether they're based in Germany, Cape Town, Harare, or in Accra. Can that start leveling the playing field for freelancers? The fact that they can now start engaging professionally, even without the resources of that are supposed to be provided with the natural structures.
So that becomes one advantage to indicate that digitalization becomes a tool of communication across countries, and it allows globalization to occur. Hence, I said it's something which is very advantageous in the CBDs. For example, myself, I had to move from the villages of the Lesiba district to Polokwane, which is a CBD. Located that side, I have good coverage, and we barely have load shedding, and I have smooth runnings, and the competition is, I'm keeping up with the competition as a freelancer through digitalization.
Congratulations to you for really leveling up the game, and I think this is proof and pudding that you can really start progressing and growing your business. So now I'm gonna bring it to you, Adi, in this moment in time. And you, as Chief Marketing Officer of vcita, have launched a product called Business Unusual, which we are aware of, in which businesses have access to a lot.
Yeah.
Could you take us through that?
Yeah, I think so. For us, obviously, we've mentioned some of the challenges here today. We've talked about infrastructure and access. We've talked also about industries where the core of the service is with touch. And I thank you, Jacqueline, for pointing that out. And I think we felt that there is a need to also create some level of segmentation within this very big environment called small businesses.
Yes.
So definitely digitalization doesn't look the same for Jacqueline's colleagues, where they might be able to communicate digitally, but definitely they're not able to deliver their services digitally. And if you can, I'd like to hear how. That would be amazing. But and it's different for someone who's in more of a consulting role, where they're able to take this to Zoom. So these are two aspects of digitalization, but they're completely different. And then if we bring in the automation of tasks, so yes, I might be offline at the moment, but because my information is in the cloud, I can automate, let's say, reminders for things that are coming up tomorrow. Then that's a benefit. How do we teach small businesses to use it? How do we break it down to them? So we basically created a platform which is an educational platform, an educational resource on top of the technical platform, the digital platform. And we said, okay, how do we take you into this environment? Let us start with, for example, a self-assessment form, where you assess where are you right now within this space. Are you one of those people who are able to just take their business online as is and do their calls on Zoom and that was it? Like lawyers could, financial advisors could, a lot of, we obviously could, we're working remotely for a while now. Or are you one of those businesses who is not able to operate at all? And then what do? How do you, obviously, if you're not able to operate, your main role is to prepare for the day where you can open. So we've seen it all around the world, hairdressers who on the day that they were able to open had to be super, super efficient in how they were managing, because they needed to get a lot of people done. A lot of people needed their services, but then they always had to keep in mind what happens if we close again. So we had to kind of find a way to communicate with our clients and tell them, this is what you can do, this is what technology enables you, this is what we recommend that you do. And we've done that over a platform that not only, thankfully, not only us talking to them, but also their peers. So we had small businesses come in and talk about their own experiences. And one thing I want to point out from if you're in the wellness business, then you are needed. People are not going to stop having their hair cut. So I think that's definitely the good side of working with small businesses in general, is the agility, the creativity, and how fast they can bounce back from these situations. And in that respect, it's nothing new. It was always there for small businesses, that need to constantly
adapt and change and recreate. And we've seen it over the time, because we have seen how ownership in small businesses quickly changes. Even names, even like you find a barber shop is there for 5 years, the next 10 years it's a different barber shop. So I'm gonna touch on the point you put in rightly there, which says you may be affected by lockdown level 3, where due to the president's speech on the just after Christmas, you cannot serve your clients currently. So there are processes that you need to implement to be able to at least effectively serve your clients besides the digital assistance you would have? And I'm gonna bring in Abeeku, because Abeeku, you've worked with clients in West Africa. Now, Abeeku, with clients in West Africa, please kindly advise, what has been what has helped your clients succeed in this time, and how have they managed to maintain these processes and also implement them in a digital way?
Thank you very much, Kuda. And like you all have rightly said, these have been very challenging times that caught us unawares. Most businesses had not planned for this, and suddenly we found ourselves in this situation, and we had to survive the situation. Now, the good thing is that digitalization has given access to a lot of markets, and a typical example is what we are doing now, an event holding in South Africa, and then we are streaming in Ghana and other parts of Africa. So there has been a shift in the mindset. There has been a switch from thinking physical to thinking digital, and the kind of access digital would provide. So, for example, if you were having a physical event in South Africa, it would have been difficult. It would have also been more expensive, because it would mean that all of the speakers that are out of South Africa would have had to fly in there. So that basically pushes a different kind of mindset for all of the businesses. How are we able to ensure that we get access without physical involvement? How are we able to ensure that we constantly engage with our clients, our customers, our stakeholders in an efficient way, even through this pandemic? Now, another good reason for digitization, which has helped, is that it's now easy to make a lot of decisions, because digitalization gives access to data. And that data is very, very important for decision making. As you know, business is all about decision making, what to do, when to do it, how to do it. And once you have data, you are able to take a very, very, very important decisions based on the data that you have. It helps you to understand the market, decisions that you would have had to take based on information that would have been gathered over a long period of time. You would be able to take those decisions immediately, because you have data available that helps you to take the decision. So it makes it easier to understand the market you are dealing with. I'll use this summit as another example. You can run some real-time analytics on where your viewers are coming from, which countries they are coming from, and the kind of platforms they are using to access the summit. So those kind of analytics helps you to take the decisions if you have to run another event or another summit later. And then, okay, we actually have a lot of viewership from this country, and these are the category of people that viewed our summit. So this is what we need to do. Digitalization also provides insights that would have been difficult to gather. So as you run through the data, as you analyze the data, a lot of insight comes out, and it basically shapes up the business. You know which direction to follow as a business, and what is important to your stakeholders out there. So in terms of strengthening brands and then getting them to have an efficient business, I think that is the way to go. It is something that should not be embraced as a half measure. It is something that should be embraced as a full measure, because going forward, a lot of things are going to change. As people are saying now, it is possible that we might not go back to the way of working that we know, which means that businesses cannot operate as they used to operate. And the only way out is to digitalize their systems and then their processes, so that then they can be more efficient and they can be able to respond to the current market needs.
Has being for small businesses to digitalize in South Africa, because connectivity somehow loses us in between our talks. Abeeku, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Awesome.
It looks like your link froze a while.
Okay, thank you so much, Abeeku. You did share with us something that was quite important, and it was how data becomes an important thing and when you implement the right processes, you get to acquire data that can enable your business to run more efficiently. And if you acquire this data, you're able to use it to grow your business. And you gave an example there of how if you're able to monitor where your viewers come from, you're able to then at least market directly to them. So with that in mind, and we do know that spas mainly operate from a location basis, unless you do travel. and I recall that you also have a spa yourself, Jacqueline.
Yes, I do.
Amazing.
I do. I actually own 2 small businesses.
So in this sense, this panel is made out of small businesses themselves. Right. And you did mention earlier on that small businesses find it hard to trust the technology that is exposed to them. Now, as a spa owner, as how can the technology companies be able to make it easier for the small businesses to adopt and enable themselves digitally?
I think it's obviously we haven't got a choice. Let's put it that way. As a small business, you actually don't have a choice. You have to become tech savvy. There is no you can't deny the fact that our world has forced us to become tech savvy. Even though it's not really our forte. I mean, listen, let's be honest, I only learned Zoom a year ago. I didn't even know it existed before. So let's just put that on the table. Okay. I think what technology can help from a small business, if you can integrate it with the system that you have currently, because often their small businesses do have, maybe in our industry, in any case, a booking system where you can book clients in and where you can keep track of your clients and keep track of your clients' data, like their phone numbers and their emails, etc. If you do have a system like that and you want to bring in another system that can help, for instance, remind or send birthday reminders out and those type of things, it needs to be able to integrate with the system that you have. So it needs to be something that works together. I would say that's the one thing. The other thing that I think can be really great about technology in your business, it brings consistency in your business. Where sometimes you personally run out of time. But if the system can automatically just post on social media for you because you've programmed it beforehand, or they can send out birthday reminders, for instance, automatically for you, you don't have to think about it every morning because you've got 10 million other things as a small business to worry about. And often what happens in a small business, and I see that what happens with me as well, I tend to wear a lot of hats. On the one side, I'm the marketing manager. On the other side, I'm the salesperson. On the other side, I've got to deal with the clients in front. I've got to there's so many aspects that you've got to deal with that the last thing that's on your mind is still going onto a system and sending a birthday reminder. So I think the consistency is great that it can bring. I think there is the best thing I can suggest when it comes to a platform for our industry is that it's a way of communicating with your clients consistently, bringing out the best in you as a company. What I love about certain platforms and certain technology is that you can become very personal with your client. You can show them who you are and your personality. Because let's be honest, when it comes to a small business, clients buy in because it's you. They buy from you. And they've bought from you I've had my one business for 15 years. So for me, clients, it's even hard for me to employ people because the client phones in and says, I want to speak to Jacqueline. I don't want to speak to anybody else. Because so with certain technology, you can obviously bring a little bit of yourself to them, and they feel like they're dealing with you, even though they might not be dealing with you directly, which I think is key. But like I said previously when I spoke, I think our biggest challenge in our small businesses now is to know who to trust. I have been involved with companies before that has charged me a fortune and promised me the world, that we were going to have a turnover that tripled and all sorts of things, and it didn't happen. It ended up costing me a lot of money, which I could have spent much better in on maybe extra staff or extra stock or something like that. So it's going to have to be cost effective. It's going to have to be someone we can trust. It's going to have to deliver. You know, I love techies. Don't take me wrong. I work with website designers, and I work with techies, and I work with marketing managers, and I work with all these people on a regular basis, and I love their creativity. But in the end, it still has to deliver. That technology means absolutely nothing to me if it doesn't bring me business.
You're right, and you are owed deliverance from that technology. So
yeah. Trust me, I've tried it all. Okay. In 15 years in business, I've tried, I've had every single type of technology offered to me. And currently where I am right now, I'm not doing anything right now except for a bit of social media and maybe a newsletter to my clients every now and then. And because I took a break from it and just said, whoa, I need to reassess this thing because it's just costing me far too much money, and it's not bringing in the business that it doesn't justify the cost. So I think that's the challenge. It definitely can work. There's no doubt about it. We can't deny the fact that we need it. But I think it's going to be how it's done and with who it's done and at what cost.
Yeah, I think you mentioned something that I want to highlight, and that it's very important, and it pretty much...
Or the signal in Africa is very unreliable often, and it makes it challenging for people to communicate properly.
That is very true. And that makes working virtually a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
Getting cut off whilst you are in the middle of a very important conference.
Yeah.
And having to keep apologizing for dropping off.
Exactly. and you feel so stupid, and it actually has nothing to do with you. Do you know what I mean? It's actually not your fault most of the time. But yeah, I've noticed throughout Africa. I mean, Foster, I'm sure you can give us some insight on that. Is how the signal in in Africa as a whole is sometimes a challenge, and I think that's what we've got to remember. Is a lot of these small businesses are sitting in rural areas that bring as much to the economy than the ones that are in the bigger places. And then what happens is there's no signal.
Yes, definitely. But I think
where signal, even under fiber, disappears.
No, don't worry. We're discussing the whole signal thing in Africa. We often see this in our meetings with the African Spa Association and all of these things. We are so reliant on our service providers throughout Africa. And can you imagine you're a small business and you've got a limited budget and you can only pay for a certain service provider thinking that they're going to come through for you, and they don't, and you can't do half of what you'd want to do. It is a challenge for us in Africa. It definitely is.
That is a very strong challenge in which we hope our economy gets overhead with. And now bringing back to what the discussion we're having, we were about to bring in Adi, and you have a tool that enables businesses to empower themselves in so many different ways when it comes to this digital landscape. Would you be able to give us a deep dive into how best small businesses in Africa can use this and where they can use it?
Well, again, it really depends on what profession they are and what they do for a living. As you say, again, where they are technically. But I think there's one thing that we say, every business can benefit from digitalization. It depends on the digitalization of what aspect in the business. Some businesses, again, if we're giving that example of, let's say, a financial consultant or a lawyer, they're able to take the entire business and put it online. As were, for example, yoga studios that were able to start training online and actually opened up new horizons for themselves that weren't there previously. And I think Jacqueline also mentions a lot of marketing services and a lot of ways of communicating with clients. Well, that's very relevant for some industries, and especially industries that couldn't operate during lockdown. It was all about how do we keep the communication going through this time. But I think for me, I would like to highlight a very specific issue, and I think for me it works across all of the business verticals, which is digital payments. And obviously in South Africa and in Africa in general, by the way, we were just talking about it earlier, I'm very envious of the adoption of digital payments in this country. It leapfrogs other countries, which you should be very, very proud of. But I think one of those, the question is, okay, if we are able to utilize business logic and business, models to generate more from our existing user base. And one thing that I've seen all across the world right now through COVID is that customers, and I think also Jacqueline mentioned loyal customers that have been with her for 15 years, they want to keep the business alive as much as the business wants to stay alive. So we've seen a huge trend in actually selling packages of services or vouchers to be redeemed when, lockdown is eased. And that is something, it's not just about, always looking for new marketing ways to reach new clientele. It actually, I think the statistics is that it costs 9 times more to get a new client than it does to engage with an existing client. Yes. What we've seen is that businesses that were able to use, to create business models that rely on their existing clients and tap into the existing client community and talk to them and actually say, you know what, I'm able to now offer you this package of services. You will get, 10 massages for the price of 9, but I would like you to pay for it in advance. And again, this is something that is being enabled by the platform. We will help the business count, how many people are eligible, how many massages did you already book? Am I eligible for more? Is my package about to run out? Let us send you an automated reminder to buy a new one. And customers respond to that really, really beautifully because, at the end of the day, customers would want, if, for me, myself, I go to a personal trainer.
Clients, I was there supporting my existing client, and I think that was the key. And whether I did it via technology or just physically picking the phone up and saying, "How are you?" and making it really personal to them, it was actually key. Because in the end, they were the ones that pulled me through the tough times so far, because those existing clients are already sold on you. They already like you. So they already want to spend their money with you. They already know what type of service you're going to be giving. So I think that was quite important over this the last year since this pandemic has hit us. I don't know about you, Abe.
I think one of the things small businesses should also consider are loyalty schemes for their customers and their clients. I mean, once you have repeat purchases from a particular person, there has to be some form of a loyalty scheme, because at the end of the day, when there are issues like this, they are the ones that can come in for you because they have been with you, they have experienced your product or the service, and they know what you can offer at the end of the day. So they are the ones that can help you survive in time. So it's important that you properly define a loyalty scheme for these customers, and you make the relationship mutually beneficial. So it shouldn't be a matter of I'm always benefiting from these loyal clients, but what can you also offer back to these clients to ensure that you have that relationship and they can ride with you during the tough times?
I love that idea. I think that's brilliant. But I think maybe you can just answer a question for me regarding this. You know, if we are going to be doing a loyalty scheme for a customer, can you maybe give us an example of what would be, because I think the preconditioned idea out there is that if you put a loyalty scheme in place, then what will happen is that you're going to be giving away a part of your turnover. So to the ones that was going to buy from you in any case. So maybe you can just give us an example of, you know, a loyalty scheme that that's going to be beneficial for both, but that's not going to have a negative impact on the turnover of the business.
I think the first thing you need to identify is what the customer perceives as value in the service that you offer them, because the loyalty scheme needs to be connected to a value proposition. So you are not just throwing freebies at them, or you are not just, like you say, giving them things out of your revenue projections just to make them happy. So a loyalty scheme should not necessarily affect your bottom line. Yeah, it is something that your customer or your client can see as an additional value to the normal service that they offer. So a typical example, maybe you say you run a spa, right? You have a customer that has been coming to your spa for the past 6 months, you know, and you know they come to the spa in connection to something else that they do. Maybe they are trying to keep healthy, or they have a particular personal project in mind. One of the things you could do is to offer some free advisory services that does not really cost you anything, to help them on their journey. Maybe every 2 weeks you give them a phone call and try and understand how they are going through their journey, you know, and then if you have any links or pointers to help them, you can give them those links and pointers. That is not taking money out of your spa service, but you are giving them additional value to what you already provide to them. So it's important that you have that kind of connection with your customers and demonstrate that you are not only interested in taking money from them, but you are also interested in their well-being and how they are progressing based on the service that you offer them.
I love that. It feels to me like you are adding value.
I think Adi wants to jump in.
Sorry. Yeah. Can you guys? Can we hear you?
Oh, thank you. Is
there
it
we go.
slightly
Yeah.
there?
We can hear you.
Okay, so I would just wanted to interject on your conversation here, because I think I would suggest that you also look at the business from a macro perspective and not just from an individual client perspective. Because yes, an individual client through a loyalty program might pay 10% less for a service, but if you're structuring it in a way, so for example, get 10 for the price of 9. Are you guaranteed right now that you will be able to get that client to come back for 10 massages or treatments within a period of time? That is, you know, one thing that you're getting. You're getting this, you know, reassurance that money is already in the bank for you. And I think specifically access to funding is something that is very relevant here. It's the ability to show and track and also have, you know, early commitments for what's going to happen in your business in the next month or so, and not just make it, you know, something that happens, you know, one treatment at a time or one, you know, session at a time. And I think Kuda, I don't know if you were able to hear it because we were cut off at some point, but I think Kuda also mentioned the ability to show a record and show like a business volume. So if you're just talking to your clients over the phone and they're giving you cash, how are you going to be able to show to your bank on the day that you need a loan that you have an ongoing, returning, substantial business that is also has commitments to the next 6 months or so? And I can tell you, even for us, we're a SaaS business. When we're working with partners, we give them volume discounts, because for us it's very important to generate those commitments and have this promise for the future over, you know, the extra 10% that we will benefit individually. We have investors in the same way that a small business has their bank relationship or their insurance company relationship. We need to demonstrate that we have a plan going forward. And I think one of the big things that loyalty programs give you is the ability to demonstrate, I have this amount of clients, they are returning, they have made, you know, a commitment by buying a package, so they have an urgency to come back. Yeah, I think it needs to look, you know, you need to look at it. I really would recommend that you look at it from a macro perspective of business. And yes, at that we could, from an individual subscriber, maybe make a little bit more, but are we presenting ourselves as a business that drives value to its customers, also to the entire ecosystem? Again, the bank, the insurance company, the government. A lot of people need to know that you are there and operating, and that will help.
And I think
I'd like to
on an individual perspective.
Sorry.
I
just wanted to ask a question.
It gives you the assurance. Yeah, it gives you the assurance that there's business coming next time. For example, in my services, I would say I would give a certain percentage discount to say this, it's valid from this point until this point. If interested, you can pay a deposit of 10% or 20%. I know that a client would pay the deposit and I have the time frame. So I'll know that between this 3 months, I have at least 10 clients for this kind of service.
I think that's key, though, because that's the question I was going to ask. I think we've lost them again, but that's the where I'm sitting at the moment, but my signal's better than theirs. What I was gonna say is that I think when it comes to loyalty schemes, you know, we all think a loyalty scheme is like, for instance, at a store where you swipe your card and you get a kickback the whole time, but that affects the turnover of the business. But I like that loyalty scheme of, you know, I think there's a difference between a loyalty scheme and package deals. And I think we've got to be very careful not to combine the two, because, you know, package deals we offer regularly in spas and salons in any case. I mean, in our small businesses, we offer that regularly. It's nothing new, but it's available to anyone, not necessarily to our loyal customers. And that's the difference between a loyalty scheme and package deals, because we do that often in our salons already. But yeah, I just, you know, I think there's such a fine line between the two, and that it's going to be important to make sure that it doesn't affect the business negatively just by discounting. I have a problem with discounting. I don't mind value add, but I have a problem with discounting.
And I would agree perfectly with you.
Thank you so much
for how long are you going to dangle the carrot in front of them? It's not sustainable.
No, it's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable to the business. So I would prefer a loyalty scheme that is based on value.
Yes,
rather than
I agree.
Rather than one that is based on dangling carrots in front of your clients or your customers and then hoping that they buy it. Because after I mean, if it's about that, then any other business or any other competitor can do the same.
Yeah.
So I
agree.
think your focus should be what additional value can you add to the current service you provide to your customers or your clients, that would be perceived as a value package, and that would drive their loyalty rather than trying to give out freebies every single time, because those freebies after a while they'll start hurting you.
Yeah, they will start hurting because they cost money.
Thank you so much. And then, and I think if I can wrap up the customer loyalty part, I think the key points to catch as a viewer is that customer loyalty does not mean you're giving away money. If you get commitment in advance, other than not knowing you will not be getting commitment, you are gaining, even if it's at 10% off. If you get that commitment paid already in advance, you are building your credit record so you can then access finance. And then, if you have a track record of all these commitments, invoicing, billing, estimates, which we call quotations in Africa, by the way, you are at an advantage to actually show your book records, your bookkeeping, other than compared to a platform that does not do any of that. And then coupled with a bit of marketing right there, a bit of email and SMS marketing, coupled with a bit of your client databasing, coupled with also your ability to just build a website for yourself. And we know that websites are a big problem for professional services. Let's not even talk about retail. Professional services don't have websites because they don't have platforms that offer them a free place to build a website.
That's very true. I'm also struggling with my website. I don't want to lie, I'm struggling with my website.
That's true from a small business right now. So I want us to wrap up, and in this wrapping, we're gonna hear from Angelo very soon. Angelo is a very great business coach and a well-experienced business leader in any case, who runs the Institute of Management Consultants and Master Coaches. So we're gonna hear from him. But to wrap up, I just want to hear from everybody. I think Adi, you go last year, but let's start with Lesiba right here. Random question from the crowd: how does a freelancer get to live up to the same level as you are, using the advantages that are now available?
I think it's to make use of the digital platforms that you have that are accessible to you in as much as possible, because that helps you to build your brand, build your name, familiarize clients with your services, and make sure that you deliver the services, because that way you're building trust and clients are going to come to you. That way, when simply doing that, you're building your brand and also selling yourself to the people. So, which is something which is very.
That's true. And I'm gonna take it to Jacqueline before I come to you, Abeeku. Jacqueline, how can technology companies really break the trust barrier with you? So, take for example us, Helplink Africa. Where would trust?
That's a good question. I think, maybe if your tech company comes and says, I've just had one done that to me and I think it worked really well, and turned to me and said, okay, we'll give you 30 days and we will show you what we can do for 30 days in your business, and give me and show me the return it could be, because it is about the return. If I don't have a lot of money and my margins are small, I'm going to want to know that I'm going to get a return. So they came to me and said, give me 30 days and I will show you what we can do for 30 days in your business. And then we see what happens. And if you like it, then we carry on. And if we don't like it, we don't carry on. I think the other thing that tech businesses can do is maybe Start small with a small business. Don't come in and expect them to dump 60,000 rand on your desk and say, help me. They don't have that. So start small. Have, small little bite-sized things. Maybe have a plan in long term, but have small little bite-sized that they can afford. And that will at least bring some return immediately, which makes it a lot easier for them to financially swallow right now, especially at the moment where we are all just surviving and trying to get salaries and trying to get food on the table. That would be my advice to tech companies.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jacqueline. Thank you so much, Jacqueline. And then Abeeku, from us, a West African point of view, where do you see please give, sorry, please give South Africa a few tips of how the West Africa has managed to digitalize and how they can take advantage of it.
Okay, thank you very much, Kuda. Fortunately for West Africa, the process started a bit earlier. A lot of the technology-based companies had already started the process of trying to provide access to individuals and businesses in terms of internet connectivity. So currently speaking, I'm using a fiber network, and the telecom companies are busily connecting fiber all over the place to ensure that people have reliable access to be able to run their businesses, which is why I probably have not dropped even once during this discussion. And I think it is important that
all right, dibs on me. Dibs on me.
And I think it is important that infrastructure is developed, because that is the only way you are going to be able to enable the digital process. Is when people have access, not necessarily in the big offices, but access in their homes, access at co-working spaces, access at remote areas, so that everybody can be able to digitize their business and then run their business efficiently, even if they are running their business from home. And that is something that we are taking seriously in West Africa. And I think that the government has also been involved in ensuring that that access is provided. I think that is the way forward. If I'm going to give one advice to South Africa, it is something that they should take seriously, especially when South Africa is seen as one of the forerunners or one of the leaders when it comes to Africa. Making sure that there is that digital access for everybody. It's a total must. It is something that the big organizations and the government must pick up. And then there has to be a clear roadmap on what they are trying to achieve. And that roadmap needs to be communicated for everybody to understand and for there to be a buy-in. Because that approach also gives that nationalistic mindset where we know, as a nation, we are all working towards one goal. So if I would give an advice, that is what I would say. And it has to be done quickly because we are never going to go to the normal way of working. So it has to be done almost immediately.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that.
Abeeku, I have one question. I think the issue about South Africa is digitization has happened at the enterprise level, and the retail and the small businesses are not really, they don't really understand or don't know how to go digital. The question is, they have a youth council for ICT that is drawing up all these processes just to make sure retail businesses as well as small businesses go digital. And so how do the small businesses capitalize on these roadmap, maybe with implementation?
Thank you very much, Foster. I think you need to go to the beginning of it. When these plans are being made, and then you are thinking about implementing the infrastructure, I think the small businesses should be involved, because there's the danger that what you are thinking about as a solution for the small businesses might not actually be what they need. So you are setting up a central infrastructure, pumping a lot of millions of dollars into that infrastructure, when that small business actually just wants some connectivity so that they can run their social media campaigns and sell their products online. And so how do you ensure that what you are providing is actually what they need? They have to be involved in the process. There has to be constant interaction with the small businesses to ensure that you understand exactly what they are going through and what their needs are. You understand their vision in the short and long term, and then what, as a government, you can do to support that. I mean, yes, the big infrastructure is important, but at the end of the day, we all know it is just the mega corporations that take advantage of the big infrastructure, just because the smaller entities will not be able to afford it. So how do you ensure that that infrastructure is affordable to the smaller organizations and the startups and the individuals, and then they get the same level of access and usage as the big corporations? Which is why it's important that it is not just a high level discussion, but the discussion needs to go down to that level, and for them to understand what is being done and how they can be a part of it and how they can benefit from it.
Thank you so much. You highlighted something I really love right there, and it is inclusion. And that's why we are on Africa Digital Festival, that think tank for technology in Africa. And that's why we're having this discussion, so that we can really hone in to those problems that are not foreseen by any technology company when they go into a region to enter a market, or the actual government when they're planning their own implementation strategy when it comes to the fourth industrial revolution. And with that in mind, I'm going to bring in Adi Angel, and we already know she runs a very big and fast-growing tech company that is here to solve your problems too as a small business. And thank you for having for visiting us in South Africa. And yes, my question for you, Adi, is how do you foresee the South African small business landscape from your eyes, given this discussion?
Well, for me, the South African ecosystem is really full of potential. I think we spoke about it earlier today, because yes, there are infrastructure problems, but infrastructure problems are relatively easy to be solved. That is a situation that is in a way known, and there are planned investments into it. What is special here is the mindset. And I think, and we also have been discussing it together earlier before we started, there's a mindset of entrepreneurship. There's a mindset of taking on new challenges and understanding that the responsibility of bettering ourselves and bettering our economy is on us. And I think that's so much bigger than the potential is so much bigger than the past in that respect, which is super exciting.
Amazing. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are on Africa Digital Festival, and you did drop in your questions. We saw them. We read over 120 questions. Still reading the rest. We will be truthful. 120 questions, and we were trying to make sure that we come up with answers for each and every question. So each and every person is going to get their answers as they registered. Now, we're going to do it uniquely. We figured it out. That's why we stopped at 120. We figured it out. We figured it out. We're going to now go into our community. All right, you and I.
Are you going to introduce me? Or do you just want me to go ahead?
Please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Must I introduce myself? Okay, hello everybody. I'm Angelo Kahayas. My job is coaching and consulting. I'm also a serial entrepreneur, so I do understand what a lot of you have been going through. I'm also not prepared for this session because I wanted to hear what was being said and look at potential ways of solving the problems that were raised. And I really believe one of the things we need to do is go back to basics. We tend to be speaking about technology as if it's the panacea and it's going to solve every problem on earth. It won't. There are certain businesses that technology may just briefly touch and make certain aspects of it slightly easier, but as we saw with the, let's call it the professional beauty industry, it's not a lot you can do to change somebody putting their hands on you or doing eye makeup or whatever. So I'm going to be fairly generic. I'd like to ask that we bring up the first slide, which is a model that I use to coach businesses so that we can see each aspect of the business and understand what the business is all about. So this is called the BOCOS framework. And the first part, the B, is the one I always start on. And I say to people, well, what is your business model? Now, if you don't mind just flipping forward one slide, and then we'll come back to this one. Just, it'll be a triangle. Right, so this is one of the most basic business models around. And it asks some very, very basic questions. It says, who is my client? What am I servicing them with? What do they need? What is the value chain I use to get to them? How do I actually make money out of it? Will I make money out of it? So very, very basic questions and actually not that easy to answer. So if we can go back to the previous slide, that is what the B is all about. So in every business, you need to have a business model, which says, what do I do and how do I make money out of it? The second part is also the marketing model. How do I get people to know about me? In today's business, we are competing with a lot of people who don't have any work. So they're desperately trying to get attention and they're doing everything they can to get in front of you. So the marketing model and the way you market is very important, but don't overspend. We've heard horror stories of people wanting to put $1 million on the table to get a marketing plan out there when they can only make 50,000 Rand out of it. So that's not a solution. So you've got to have what they call in tailoring, you've got to cut your suit according to the cloth that you have. So if we move on to the next area, which we didn't say very much about, but in one-person businesses, that is the organization, you can't replace yourself. Everybody's looking for you to do the job. But what you should consider in today's world in using technology is outsourcing, co-sourcing, collaborating, helping people work together, getting people to perform certain tasks for you online so that you don't have to leave your office and get them done as efficiently as possible. The next area which a lot of people were speaking about is the customer acquisition, which means how do I get my customers to either walk in the door or buy, depending on whether I'm online or not online. And remember, depending on the kind of business you're in, some of you can't sell your goods online. You can't sell a makeup job online. You can sell makeup online, yes. But if we come back to the business model, in those businesses that can't really be automated to such an extent, then maybe you should be looking at diversifying your business model, getting out of your current business model at the moment, or starting an alternative business. So one of the things we did recently was we worked with 22 businesses in South Africa, all of which were small to medium and some of them micro. And we increased their turnover by millions under COVID situation. So you can imagine if we didn't have COVID restrictions, it could have been tremendously, a lot more than what we did achieve. But they survived. And some of the tactics were stop doing what doesn't work. Look for new ways of doing things. Look for new aspects to your business. Look at your skills and say, what else can I do with my skills? Those are questions that you need to ask. Then we look at the next O, which is the second O of Bokos model, and that is operations and metrics. We spoke about running financial systems. Yes, that's important. And you can do that online. Yes, you can. But what is more important is, what are the key measures that you're using to ensure that your business is staying afloat, succeeding, and growing? And that's the simplest part. I could take a whole day describing this model. But when we talk about operations and metrics, we're talking about what is it that you need to do, measure, and then eventually, if you can, automate. Because if your processes are repetitive, you can automate them. If they're not repetitive, forget about automation. You cannot automate processes that keep varying. Extremely difficult. You can have automation tools that assist you. That's different. So the operations of metrics, if the business is repetitive and you can reach many people simultaneously, then you can use technology tools and you can build digital business models. The S of the model is where I should have started, but because it doesn't sound so good, we put S at the end. But we've touched on S. S is about self. Self is about mindset. It's about self-perception, self-motivation, self-drive, and believing that you can succeed in the most difficult situations. Now, I know that's not easy. So how do we do it when we have an operation like this, a live show, a collaborative structure, groups of people who say we want to help each other? That is when you actually start helping each other and say, I've been through this before, I can help you. Come and talk to me if you need to talk to somebody. Come and work with me if one of us can't do it, let's two of us try and do it together, or a group of us. Because we're competing with corporate businesses that have a lot more resources than we have, and that comes back to finance. In South Africa, specifically, we have a very, very strange financial system. They want your life, your mother, your brother, and everybody else, your house, your car, as collateral. And then they'll give you something. But if you don't have a mother, brother, house collateral, you get no money. So how do you go about doing it? And where do they look? They really don't follow American and other systems which are more venture capital orientated. So we need to start as Africa to start funding mechanisms for small businesses, which are outside the corporate realm of control, where we can actually fund small businesses. I'm not doing this to pat myself on the back, and I won't tell you who it is. I took an absolute chance and funded a lady who runs she's actually paraplegic, and she needed money and she couldn't get it anywhere. And I said, I'm going to finance you. And things are looking great for her, and she's so excited. Her first product's rolling off right as we speak. I know a friend in London who's a Nigerian who is giving money out to people, not just handing it out, he's actually vetting them first and saying, you will get so much money and this is how long it will take you to pay it back. And he says, in most cases, the people are saying, I don't need as much as you want to give me. And in many cases, they're paying the money back faster than they agreed. So that is something to think about. And that means that we can help each other, we can help ourselves, as opposed to wait for big brother, big corporates, and so on to help us. I haven't even spoke about the other side, which is the automation tools, social media, etc., because I think we've touched on that quite a bit. But I just want to look at a few of my notes I was making. The one thing you can look at in your model, which has to change, is your supply chain. Where are you buying your raw materials? If you were buying plastic in the past, it's very difficult to get all the plastic right now. If you're looking to buy electronic goods, there was a delay because there was embargoes on the shipping. Have you thought about producing new products from what you have? Have you thought about collaborating with other people to produce new products? Have you thought about buying local? Are you encouraging buying local? Are you encouraging local supply chains? Let's see what else I said here. The other thing, of course, an entrepreneur is an opportunist. Look for opportunities. The people we spoke to, the 22 businesses we spoke to, in many cases, we told them to drop one business, not confuse their businesses, because they were calling company ABC, where A, B, and C were all three different products, and they were trying to market it as one. You've actually got to have a very clear marketing message. Otherwise, people don't know what they're buying. So we've spoken about local, we've spoken about self, we've spoken about cash flow. Cash flow, we've spoken about finance. You've got to watch your money anything else. Don't get into debt. Don't borrow for the sake of it. Borrow money for a business purpose. Don't borrow money for that BMW that you've been eyeing for a while. And when you get paid, don't go and buy that BMW. I'm not picking on BMW, it could be Mercedes. So that's not the issue. The best place to invest your money is in your business. And of course, you've got to ask yourself, who's the best funder? You. Who's the best funder of your business? Your profits. And if you're not making profits, yeah, you've got to relook at your business. I'm not saying that the models and the advice we're giving and everything else will work for every business. It worked. And that's why we coach people to say, this is what your business looks like, this is what you need, and this is how you go about growing your business. And in some cases, this is how you go about closing your business down so that you don't lose any more money. I think that's a lot of what I heard and a bit more about what I spoke about. Also, reskilling, education, teach yourself new things. I'm in the consulting and coaching business. You know which consultants and coaches are struggling? The ones that are not computer literate, because they cannot coach on Zoom or Blue Jeans or whatever tool is available. Teams, they sit there and they struggle and they press one finger at a time and they crash it. Never mind fiber. My fiber never gives me problems in my office, and it's just plain old 20 megabit per second line. Okay, what you should be looking at is the electricity backup. And our friends in the government are looking to levy solar panels now, which is going to help us quite a lot in the wrong way. So yes, your businesses are being disruptive. Be creative. Be daring. Don't be too daring with your money because it's scarce. Work together. Find new ways of doing things. Find new supply chains. Buy local. And be agile. That's it. I could carry on for a few hours, but those are the nuggets. Thank you.
Chair for the Digital Foundation Africa. We have been on this journey trying to help drive digital transformation in Africa. And for the last couple of years, we've been designing initiatives around helping drive innovation, encouraging young people who aspire to develop initiatives to help solve problems in Africa using technology. The Africa Digital Festival is a series of activities and initiatives we have designed to help solve the people transformation piece of this entire journey we are on. This includes designing hackathons, esports competition, women entrepreneurship initiatives, rewarding innovative startups and entrepreneurs who are doing amazing things to solve problems in our continent. And for this matter, I'd like to tell you more about the Africa Digital Festival and the Africa Digital Awards we are trying to both.
What is Africa? Is it the wildlife, the beautiful coasts, thriving cities? It is more than that. It is the people. Our 55 countries have many things in common. Our cultures bind us together. They give us strength and identity. They make us proud. By sharing our knowledge and working together, we're building a new Africa that's driven by investments, by game-changing infrastructure projects, and using transformative technology to change the way we live, work, and conduct business. Using our largest natural resource, our vast arable land, we are making advances in agriculture, developing new industries, creating jobs, and improving livelihoods. Together, we are moving forward on economic integration. By consolidating Africa's significant internal market to foster trade within the continent and with the world, Africa is open for business. We are building the Africa we want. So, what is the continent of the future?